All right, guys. This is also coming up on your Tuesday, April 28th feed. I'm going to walk you through 4.2.2 Build a Better Body, where we learned a lot about chest muscles and some details about them as we're taking some of our knowledge about things like origins and insertions of muscles and how they work to cause our skeleton to move. I just played some Foo Fighters for you in my previous video, so now I'm stuck on them. It reminded me, actually, when I played that video a handful of years ago, and I don't remember. Oh, it says 2015. This town in Italy was desperate to get the Foo Fighters to come do a concert, and so to plead their case, they had 1,000 musicians get together to play a Foo Fighters song together, which I think is absolutely crazy. They met in public. This was way pre-quarantine, but I just thought it was amazing, and I just remembered it when I played that other video. And I just loved where it just keeps panning around to this crazy large group of people that are all playing the same song together. Quick side note, I don't remember if it actually worked. I don't remember if they actually got Foo Fighters to come to town. I do remember that Foo Fighters responded and were like amazed and it was super cool, but I don't know if they actually came to concert. I sure would figure they did, though. But that was pretty cool. I'll post that link for you guys too. Let's do this, man. 4.2.2, Building a Better Body. So as I am stuck in the house and realizing Rivera and I talk often as we go through phases of being slugs and doing nothing for multiple days in a row other than a short walk with the dogs, to getting out and doing something active, going for a run or riding my bike. We realize the gym is not going to open anytime soon. At least I'm not going to be in a hurry to go back to the gym, just knowing how viruses transmit. I'm going to stay home. So we actually made a quick drive to Grand Junction on Friday and stopped at a sporting goods store and picked up a punching bag and gloves. So I'm working on my skills, but really just for workout purposes. And I did my first workout yesterday after we put the punching bag and everything together in the back. Holy geez, I'm sore today, guys. So this is connecting to the workouts that we do and how they function to strengthen us. You guys created diagrams of chest muscles, and we may already know about pectoralis major, the actual chest muscles that we see. If any of you have ever seen the high school drama on Netflix called All American, Rivera and I watched that just for mindless evening time. Every guy in that is built like close to no other high school student I've ever had. They're all loaded up pectoralis major, just beasts with chests. But there's other muscles that kind of creep their way under. It's not just pectoralis major. We have pectoralis minor, serratus anterior, and the intercostal muscles. I put briefly the functions here, but I actually have them in a table down below. So I'm going to scroll past there. But I want you to think about working your way from the inside out. So the inside or the innermost muscles kind of tucked in between the ribs. They connect to our ribs. Those are the intercostal muscles. I'm going to maybe zoom that a little bit so we can see that a little better. Let's bring that up. There we go. It's a little better. So there's external and internal intercostal muscles. You don't have to know the specific differences between them, but those are these little bands of muscles that we see right between the ribs, almost running kind of diagonal vertical. And those are connecting one rib to the next. As we work our way out, kind of from the center towards our heart and working our way out to the external part of our body, the next I would see here is serratus anterior, and it shows it actually labeled better down here. Serratus anterior is connecting to the end of our rib, and it's actually wrapping around our back and connecting to our shoulder blades or scapula. So those two are shown there. And then down here in this sort of cutaway picture, we see pectoralis minor. We see connected to clavicle up here, and then connecting to our ribs down here. And then pectoralis major actually has a few insertion points. It connects in a few areas of non-moving bones. And I'll talk about those in the table down below. That's the big, massive muscle that we see crossing the entire portion of our chest, and that's our outermost. So we worked our way from the intercostals out to serratus anterior to pectoralis minor, and then finally overlapping all of that is pectoralis major. So if I go here, I made a table, and if you did the same, great. My layout, I didn't love it for how you guys were asked to answer it. However you did it, we needed to know the name of the muscles, and I'm not going to take it any further than just the names were given, the origins and the insertions. And really, I probably wouldn't go too specific on the details come quiz time, but we're going to know that the intercostals connect one rib to an adjoining rib just below or above. And the intercostal muscles are necessary for inhalation or exhalation. You'll also see the terms inspiration and expiration, exact same thing. Inspiration for in, expiration for out. These involuntary muscles, they're part of this process of allowing our chest cavity, the ribs, everything that's around our lungs. It causes the expansion of our chest cavity to allow air to come in, and then the closing of our chest cavity, or to make it smaller, to actually force air out when we exhale. Any sport that involves forceful or exaggerated twisting of the upper trunk, I would say would fall within that range. Serratus anterior, okay, that outer edge of our ribs, okay, that's our origin, and that connects to the shoulder blade, the anterior length, so the front side towards the front of our body, the anterior length of the medial border, so the inner part that's closer to our midline. Remember, medial is towards our midline. And so that's actually the insertion point. And what that works to do, serratus anterior works to pull your scapula forward. And it's often called the big swing muscle or boxer's muscle. So when I'm working on the punching bag and actually learning how to throw solid punches on the punching bag, what we're working there is serratus anterior, that muscle right there that's allowing that movement forward. Yeah, that's right, coming right at you guys. So as we go down to pectoralis minor, that actually just connects to ribs 3, 4, and 5, further up here. And that also connects to the scapula, but a different portion of the scapula than serratus anterior. And what that does is that draws the scapula forward and downward. And the easiest thing to think of is a tennis forehand. And when we swing a tennis racket, or when we swing a ping pong paddle, when we do that swing right there, pectoralis minor is involved with that. And another thing, just a side note to all of this, these are such integrated muscles that are all very much in the same area. They do work at differing levels. So it's very rare that you're going to have just one of those groups of muscles working. Pectoralis minor is going to be working, but so is serratus anterior. So there is an integration of multiple muscles to allow for our movement. Finally, the big one, pectoralis major. That actually, points of origin are the clavicle up top and the sternum along here. So there's multiple fixed points of bones that don't move, but it connects to the upper part of our humerus and allows for movement of the humerus. And so that allows 3 major movements: flexion of the humerus. And so if you think of tossing a ball underhand or raising a glass upwards, that is flexion of the humerus, controlled by pectoralis major. It also adducts the humerus. When we learned a couple weeks ago about adduction and abduction and those different movements of our body, adduction is moving away from our midline. Sorry, I said that wrong. Abduction with the letter B. Abduction is out and away. Adduct, when something adducts, it's coming back towards the midline. So to adduct, I just think of those D's in adduct, A-D-D-U-C-T. Adduct just means down, back to the midline, okay? So it says, think flapping your arms like wings. And finally, it rotates the humerus medially. So for you guys that love getting all fired up and getting into arm wrestling contests, I can remember a kid in junior high that just sat at a table every day and just took all comers. And he just arm wrestled through lunch. I never understood that because I don't think he ever made any money or got any free food for doing that, but he just loved to rotate the humerus medially and show off his pectoralis major by whooping most people that came his way. If you've never seen the cheesy Sylvester Stallone 80s, all right, classic is a stretch, but it's called Over the Top. It's all about a dude that arm wrestles. Maybe when you're hanging out bored one day, give that guy a shot. I bet you can rent it for about $1. Let's move on. Different exercises, guys. I would not ask you to know this on a quiz, but it allowed us to do some thinking about how we target muscles. For those that are thinking of going down any road, going into physical therapy. I've had students over the years that really want to get into athletic training or strength and conditioning. Going those routes, you learn very quickly the different types of exercises and strengthening work you can do that target specific muscles. So I just threw some up on the paper. You don't have to know them in terms of how we can target these different muscles. And I just picked a few conclusion questions here that I wanted to talk about. It says, explain to your client why you need multiple exercises to effectively build and tone the muscles of the chest. Well, again, we just went through 4 different groups of muscles in our chest. They have different origins, different insertions, different actions, and they all deserve/need their own proper attention to make sure that they get proper work. Sometimes when we get caught doing workouts, we really are only targeting one muscle and we forget about the other ones. If we're doing ab workouts and all we ever do are front, just crunches like this, we're only working specific muscles, but we're maybe not working things like the obliques that are the ones that are out here towards the side. And so we have to make sure that we target all those different muscles to allow for proper strengthening of our body. And muscles of pectoralis major, it asks, are they adductors or abductors? It adducts the humerus, so it brings it back down towards your midline, so pectoralis major can work as an adductor. And then finally, it threw us away from the chest and up to the side of our face, the side of our head, and that temporalis muscle, that you guys built on your mannequins back in the fall. Temporalis, again, thinking of the temporal bone or the temporal region of our, of our cerebrum, of our brain. That temporalis muscle is right there on the outer part of our skull. And what we want to think about there is the origin and the insertion. The origin is up towards the top of that temporal bone right up here. And its point of insertion is down here connecting to our mandible. So anytime we need to move our jaw down, up, out, or back, any of those movements are allowed to happen because the point of insertion is right there at the top of the back top. I can do this, the back top of our mandible. Okay. And so it's a fan shaped, it covers most of our temporal bone. It's fan shaped and it kind of comes to a point right down there at the mandible that allows for a lot of varied movement of our jaw. So I think that's everything, guys. You guys are crushing it. I can't say it enough how much I appreciate you guys tuning in each week to check the page, to let me know of any questions that you guys have, to clarify mistakes that I make as I regularly make them on our page. We just keep on working forward, guys. After this week, we're only going to have 3 weeks left, and it's all going to be the month of May. So we're going to be there before you know it. Stick with it, guys. You're doing fantastic. Please keep in touch, whether it's clarifications or just to say, hey, I miss all of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Let's go back to this while I find the stop button. And later, guys.